I started these videos to understand what was going on in the story because there's so many people and so many layers and so much going on, right? So I just started a simple YouTube series of videos on it, and it's actually, as the case goes on and gotten more intense and the children still aren't found, more and more people are interested in coming forward too as well for some reason to my videos. So I got a long email today from someone that did not send it anonymously but would like to remain anonymous. Welcome to Missing Murder Vanished. I'm Catherine. Part 15. Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow. Welcome to an episode of Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Catherine. So without waiting, I'm going to go ahead and read you this email. I'm going to start 3/4 of the way down on this email, okay? And then I'll go back up to the top. But this is what really stood out to me. Chad is still communicating with Hector and Chris Parrott on AVOW, AVOW, weekly, and telling them this is a custody issue and it will be resolved soon. He tells them the kids are in hiding, however, they are not. They are not alive. A close friend of Lori's recorded that Lori told her they will never find the kids. The police have that recording. There are many who want to believe him, but have not looked at the hard evidence and chain of events to see that this is too deep to be about custody. No one ever sued for custody. JJ quit FaceTiming his grandparents and they called for a welfare check. The kids are not in Hawaii. Their names are not on any airplane manifests. There are no schools in the country with the children registered. I wish Hector and Chad would sit down and let the police do their job. People are afraid to even speak up because they condemn them for not believing them. I think she means Hector and Chris. She says, you know the timeline, but here are some things in your podcast that need clarification. She mentions the person that was on my live video that said that they were in church Sunday. And she says that lady was jerking your group around with lies. She is a Chad supporter. The lawyer is not dead. Chad and Lori are not attending church either. They are not even wearing their temple garments anymore. Well, we know they attended church. The news was there. I have the clip. So that part isn't true. They were attending church and they were there this past Sunday. I don't know anything about the lawyer, but the lady that did make that comment was truthful. She said her daughter was in church and they were there, and they were. News media was there as well. They're not even wearing their temple garments anymore. You can tell by the pictures of them on the beach. Her dress is also altered to show skin where the garment should go. They are two reckless lovers. Lori is a serial killer. She killed before she even met Chad. Chad is not innocent. He believes in this multiple lives crap and is using that to manipulate Lori to do more killing. Then she says the July date of the end of the world is not a date for the end of the world. It is a month that a visionary said that the Civil War in America will start. The visionary did not give a year, just a month of some year. Civil War is not the end of the world, but the start of the tribulation period. She says Chad's books are written as novels. There are no doctrines or predictions. Don't waste any money on them. She said there is a passage that might be a self-reflection. The book Evading Babylon, he says, Nathan is expected to devote all his time and energy to this cause, but he faces a major personal obstacle in doing so, Marie Shaw. Nathan has admired Marie since their high school days, and now she is showing a genuine interest in him as well. So the zombie reference is not zombies, but spirits that have turned dark and need to be removed. Zombies is probably their nickname. Chad probably convinced Lori that someone was dark and that she had the authority to remove them, just as your anonymous email. None of this is church doctrine or biblical doctrine. This is about being led by evil, dark spirits. Chad's kids are aware of what's going on, but not taking sides for now. Chad's brother did come out against Chad on Facebook. Chad and Tammy raised 5 kids, all married now, except the last is on a mission. They are all normal, loving adults raising families. If Chad was in a cult, these kids would be in it too. This is about Chad doing everything to be with Lori and allowing dark spirits to influence him. The two are in it together. She trusts him as a spiritual guide, and he manipulates her to do the killing. I was told that Chad was complaining about his life on the road last year as being lonely. Then he had a fake vision that Tammy would die. All this happened right after he met Lori. She goes on to say there's no time for the authorities in the church to excommunicate them. They have to be in the council that is called by their bishop. Since they left town 2 weeks after Tammy's death, no one has seen them. Until there's a legal case against them, the church cannot excommunicate them on hearsay. Says Chad did have life insurance on Tammy, although Lori did not get the life insurance the kids did. Once the kids were removed, she has the legal right. Says the autopsy results still won't convict them unless they can show receipts, credit cards, or video showing them buying the items needed for poison. Something so simple as Visine drops for 3 days in a drink can kill someone. I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't end as a lover's suicide pact when they are cornered. They seem to have no concern right now for others. Another sign of sociopath. Law enforcement needs more time. Without solid evidence, they will walk. Okay, so that was the end of that. So I will go back up to the top now and fill you in on the rest of what she said from the beginning. She said, I am in the LDS prepping community, end quote, parentheses, not private group that Chad and Lori were part of. We can see without a doubt they do not represent LDS teachings, nor does the prepping community espouse their ideas. Let me take you back to the beginning and share how all this came to what it is today. Hopefully, it will clear up the areas that seem confusing. Then she goes on to explain what AVOW is. And she says there's an online prepping community. It's called AVOW, AVOW, stands for Another Voice of Warning. She says she's not a part of that group, but she does get a lot of things from the group. She said the group is a little radical for her taste, but she feels they're harmless. And she says, well, they think 1,000 pounds of wheat and a dozen tents will help them survive the calamities. She says it studies the signs and times and shares preparedness ideas together. Many people today across all religions are awakened to the biblical teachings and events around the world regarding end of times. This is not new to the LDS Church or its members. Mormons have always been commanded to be self-sufficient and store up every needed thing when possible. So in this group, an online forum community, Chad Daybell had just written a book, written like a novel with multiple books in the series about possible scenarios of the world collapsing, and it was promoting it to the LDS audience. It was among many books that had already been out there from people claiming to have near-death experiences or visions in the last days. This is where you heard the name Suzanne Freeman. She wrote Through the Windows of Life. There are dozens others, and none of them talk of the things that Chad and Lori do. The big difference is that Chad's books he called factional, and it was his way of not disclosing what he was considered speculation and what he saw in a vision from a diving accident in his youth. Okay, so there was another girl on this forum who claimed to have a near-death experience at first. It was just a vision, and she was sharing her visions as if she was having them every day. Chad teamed up with Julie Rowe to write a book. It turns out she wasn't having dreams as much as she was co-opting the dreams and visions that were being shared on the forum. Okay, so that makes sense. She was taking other people's visions and dreams and calling them her own and talking about them. Okay. Many people raised an alarm that our stories were their stories and they were angry. Many just ignored the claims and liked what Julie was saying. More and more books came out, with those two taking the Doomsday Prepping community at large, LDS and non LDS, by storm. Radio interviews and large gathering conferences. This is where preparing a people comes in. They are not a cult. They are a filming company that holds conferences, films the speakers, topics are all over the place, and then posts them on their page for a pay-per-view subscription. Since Julie and Chad were so popular at the time, they were regular guests. It does harm to the investigation to call PAP a cult. People start making wrong assumptions. I know Mike and Nancy James. They are devout and sincere. However, they are gullible. They were about making money and not really concerned with anyone's message. Then things started to change. Julie was being denounced and asked to pipe down. Her earthquake predictions were never fulfilled, and she just kept getting more and more desperate with her prediction to keep the attention she craves. She was involved in a practice called energy healing. It is where you use a pendulum or muscle testing, and you ask for yes or no answers to health questions, and you would get your answers. In the old days, this was called divination. This is a counterfeit to the Bible. Replace the pendulum for a new Ouija board, and you have the same thing. However, these energy healers will go to their deathbeds insisting there is nothing wrong with the practice because they say a prayer before they do their work. Oh, the ignorance. She says, this is also not LDS, but practiced all around the world by multiple people with religious or non-religious backgrounds. The LDS church leadership denounced it in October of 2018 with Elder Ballard speaking at the General Conference. When Julie was excommunicated, it was for priestcraft. Energy healing is just that. Julie admits in her podcasts, many have been taken down because of her excommunication, that she summoned John the Baptist to tell her end-time events. She says he is the one teaching her. Then she started perverting LDS doctrines. She said she will have 160 husbands in the next life. She said she is like Joan of Arc and will have people hate her and kill her in this life, but she will be resurrected and return to fight the wicked during the tribulation period. She says she is part of the 144,000 to help save people. She has too many claims for me to address here. I personally feel the church waited too long to excommunicate her. She still has loyal followers. She still has presentations and tours where she teaches energy healing and end time scenarios that she has seen. If you look at her 2019 podcast, she explains what she's working with Chad, teaching him about the healing energy. This is when Chad started having an emotional affair with Lori after meeting her at the PAP conference, Preparing to People conference. Although Julie was no longer invited to Preparing to People conferences, Chad was. This is when Chad started telling people he, Julie, and Hector, and another author, I guess Hector's another author Chad publishes for, will have high-level calling someday in the church, and the people will look to them for answers. And she also points out that this is sociopathic behavior. She said, then there is something about seeing Chad's dream, but I'm not going in that. It's in his book or in his thing. I can post it later. Then she says, so many of us were ringing alarm bells that these two, Julie and Chad, were off their rockers and stopped listening to them. Lori Vallow has a friend, Melanie Gibb, in Arizona. They taught a podcast together. Melanie is also big into energy healing. She invited Dave Warwick to a meeting to meet this private little group who were using divination to get answers. This is where the wacko ideas of being sealed to prophets, having multiple lives, comes in. David told me he denounced them and got up and walked away before the meeting ended. He said there were many excommunicated members there, and they saw excommunication as a badge of honor because they know more. This is not LDS. This is them summoning dark spirits to get the answers. She said since Julie has been exed, she has written a book with Eric Smith about multiple probations. She said if you read the divorce deposition from Charles, he describes some of the craziest theories that Lori told him that were from this select group of friends. Okay, so then it goes back to what I read you in the beginning. It says Chad is still communicating with Hector and Chris, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Like I said, I was going to just paraphrase the whole thing, but I think it's just easier to read it so you guys can get the whole sound of what she was saying in this. And then I'm going to show you something that I actually found online that somebody had posted that was a voicemail from Julie, and it sounds, well, I'll let you be judge. I'll let you be the judge. I'll play it now.
Hey, Alex, really just getting back to you about your ramp situation. You can contact Lane to send let you know. Cybersecurity is on task, secure. We are on lockdown, and it's just a matter of time before we're going to be in the prayer for pathway to heaven, pathway to Zion, and Independence Day. So freedom in the forefront. The grass is green, nails are painted, toes are pedicured, manicure is on the rise. Answers in heaven are soon to come, and our language is effective. Think quick, think fast, catch the ball, you're up, and matter is, matter does. Here's the deal. Creatively thinking, creatively writing, creatively securing. Time to call out. You're on the call list. We're going up. Step it up, my friend. It's a matter of time. Talk to Hector. He'll keep going. Hurry in. And let you know where we are and things, let him know it's a thing, because I haven't wrapped the loop yet, and he doesn't need the boat trip. The call is coming, the grass is green, timbers on the horizon. Today is Wednesday the 23rd, the 22nd. Gonna fly out now on the 23rd, gonna take the touchdown to the home run, and clear the bases on Friday.
I honestly don't even know what to say about that. She sounded very medicated or very drunk or something. It also sounded very mentally ill for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, I did come across that, and it was from somebody that knows Julie, and they left voicemails. So just thought you'd be interested in that one because that was kind of dug that out of the middle of nowhere on YouTube. And now I'm really hoping we get back more to this investigation with the kids instead of all the stuff about the religious aspect and what's going on. I do appreciate the emails and I do appreciate the inside information because I think it helps clear things up about mindset and what the true beliefs are and what the false beliefs are and how this is really just a very strange situation. But I think the bottom line now, it's really about the kids, those children, and I hope that they're still with us somewhere. I am losing hope. I don't want to, but I am. And this was an excellent news story that ABC News put on. So I'm going to leave you with this last news clip right here.
Now to new developments in the search for those missing Idaho siblings whose mother fled to Hawaii after police came looking for them. Well, this morning, there are new questions about her daughter's cell phone and a text message that was sent. Amy is here with more. Good morning, Amy.
That's right, Michael. Good morning. The 17-year-old's phone was reportedly used since her disappearance to send a text message. But right now, who was actually using that phone remains a mystery.
This morning, new images of the mother of two missing Idaho siblings with her new husband in Hawaii. The couple, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, seen going to church Sunday, refusing to answer questions about the children who haven't been seen since September. These exclusive wedding photos, taken a month after her children were last seen, were obtained by ABC News. They show the happy-looking couple in early November in Hawaii, Chad playing the ukulele while Lori dances on the beach. The wedding happening 4 months after Vallow's former husband was shot and killed by her brother, and just weeks after Daybell's wife died. Police are now investigating her death. Meanwhile, the mystery surrounding the disappearance of 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and her 7-year-old brother JJ deepens. A friend of Tylee's tells ABC News she texted the teen's phone in October, a month after she vanished, and received this message back. "Hi, miss you guys too, love ya." It's been nearly 2 weeks since Lori Vallow missed a court-ordered deadline to physically produce her children.
Can you tell me where your kids are?
East Idaho News, capturing the moment police tracked Vallow and her new husband down in Hawaii in January to serve that court order.
Where are your kids? No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
Daybell has written religious books and given speeches about what he describes as 2 near-death experiences. I recently sat down with JJ's grandparents, who say Vallow has changed over the past year.
I can't say exactly when Chad came into the picture because I really don't know. I knew Lou was reading books.
Books about the end of the world?
Yeah,
about
doomsday stuff. But I mean, I knew she was in a group.
Now, Chad Vallow married Lori just 3 weeks after the death of his wife, Tammy, and authorities are still waiting for results of her autopsy. Her body was exhumed on December 11th, and according to a leading pathologist, if there was foul play involved in Tammy's death, the autopsy will most likely find it. But JJ's grandparents say every single day they are fighting to find out what happened to those children.
So disturbing.
Every day counts.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Amy. And we're joining us now is Callahan Walsh of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Callahan, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to start out by asking, with your experience in missing children's cases, what are authorities doing right now to locate these kids?
Well, this case is very complicated. There's lots to unpack here. There are 3 suspicious deaths surrounding this case, and these children haven't been seen for 5 months. So law enforcement is going to relook at those suspicious deaths, and also rely on the public. Anybody that has any information about the whereabouts of these children, I know law enforcement is looking for those keys and looking for those clues.
And Callahan, Mom did not meet the court-ordered deadline to produce these children. So what can authorities do now? What are their next steps?
Well, it's up to the court to draw up charges to hold Lori in contempt of court. If they do that, that's when law enforcement can really dig in, because just because no one has seen these 2 children in 5 months is not necessarily a crime. However, not producing them at court after that court order is, and if they hold her in contempt, then they can really start to dig in.
Well, have you ever seen any other cases like this where a mother says she gave her kids to someone else and refuses to cooperate with police?
We have seen it before, unfortunately. However, the majority of the time, the reality is a much darker thing to deal with. And I just hope that my worst suspicions don't come true. We want to see these children recovered alive. Thank God for their extended family who's really putting the pressure on Lori and Chad to produce these children, law enforcement and the media for staying on top of these cases. But I really just hope that these children are recovered alive and reunited with their family.
And really, and one more question, how important is it to have the daughter's cell phone?
Well, it's absolutely tantamount. I mean, that's a huge piece of evidence, especially since supposed text messages were sent on behalf of the daughter. I mean, she's 17 years old. Which 17-year-old do you know that doesn't have their cell phone with them 24/7? So the fact that she doesn't have it with them, that it's been used, in fact, the Venmo app has been used as well, does not bode well. Finding out that the mother's had it in her possession this whole time does not look good in this case.
All right, Callahan Walsh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks again so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and comment. I really appreciate it. And this has been an episode of Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Catherine. Have a great night. Produced by me, Catherine. Edited and narrated by me, Catherine. Graphic art design by R.L. Speak. And my sources for this video, ABC News via Good Morning America, and my Facebook group that I really enjoy lurking on, Misery, Christmas Misery, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, Gone Without a Trace.